I have a big announcement today. Joining me live and in person is my common co-host, Josiah, but that's not all. Joining me and Josiah here on Mr. Super Oz are Etep Wakuian from The Place to Be Reviewed, Jeff Hicks from World Class Bullshitters, and Brandon Robinson, my 10-time co-host here on the channel. Brandon, where are you?
I'm right here. I'm lagging, so.
Oh, okay.
So sorry.
Everybody, if you watch the channel, you know Brandon, so you don't need to see his face. Etep, thank you for being here. Jeff, thank you for being here.
Good meeting you guys.
Nice to meet you.
So, before we do what we came here for, which is to review Ready to Rumble, me and Josiah, we got a big announcement. Starting this Wednesday, August the 3rd, a new channel regular here on Mr. Super Oz will begin. It is called the Wednesday Night Wrestling Remix, where me and my boy here, we are going to go over the history of World Championship Wrestling and remix it, exactly. Do the show in a way that will make me happy. So Josiah here is going to be laying down the facts of everything that happened, and I will be putting out the fiction. And that's why today we are reviewing Ready to Rumble, a WCW motion picture, or a motion picture that has a hell of a lot of WCW in it. Yep. Pete, Etep, would you like to start out and tell us how you feel about Ready to Rumble?
Oh, man. I have been a WCW fan since it was Crockett Promotions in the 80s. When they made this movie, as illogical as it was because it carried into real life, it was a work that ended up as a shoot in the business, but I love it. The cat, David Arquette, and what's his name, Scott Kahn, I believe it is. They're hilarious. The characters are it's over the top and it's funny. It's everything that the WWE wanted to do with their movies, and I think kind of failed at it to a certain extent. But it was definitely a trendsetter for wrestling movies at the time. And yeah, seeing all that WCW talent in a movie, and dude, just the way it played out was wonderful. And Joe Pantoliano, Joey Pants.
Dude, that guy.
He
was a wonderful promoter. Like, he just felt so sleazy in the role.
I spent a decade in the indies, and I'm going back September 2nd, I've seen promoters like that. I've worked with promoters, not that exaggerated, but they're definitely like, I've had a guy stiff me out of gas money for, moving his ring. And just stupid stuff that scumbag promoters on the indies do. And this is like a perfect amalgamation of different wrestling promoters. And, it was targeted well. And like I said, the portrayal by Pantoliano was freaking amazing.
Absolutely. And that's honestly why that I wanted this big panel, because me and you both, former wrestlers, Josiah and Jeff, big-time wrestling fans, and Brandon is our one outsider. Not a former wrestler, not a wrestling fan, just a movie fan. And so that's the reason I set it up this way. And so I'm going to throw it to you, Jeff. What brought you here to the Ready to Rumble review?
He's muted.
You're muted.
Well, what I said is, what brought me here was an invite. But in reality, I love Ready to Rumble, and I'm actually really happy to talk about it because it is the epitome of Saturday afternoon cable movie. I caught that back in the day when you get those free HBO weekends, and I was already a wrestling fan, and I would watch this movie, and I'm 12 years old. It was the best at 12, man. I look back on it with the fondest of memories. It's got the real wrestlers. It has John Cena. But it's just funny, man. Like, it's one of the few movies that makes me feel cool to be a wrestling fan because they get the dumber crap kind of accurate. Like when Gordy freaks out about, Cage and all this crap. Like, David Arquette's over the top, but I've been to like 50 wrestling events, and I've seen people like that at every show. Like, even though it's exaggerated, I love how Ready to Rumble paints wrestling fans, and I like the cast. And dude, I forgot about this part. The Sal Bandini Wanna Wrestle? I quote that shit all the time in my life, and I didn't even realize what it's from. I'm like, for years, I'm like, Sal Bandini Wanna Wrestle? What is that from? Now I remember. So Ready to Rumble, man. I know it's not an Oscar winner, but for me, it would be a Blu-ray purchase. Like, I love that movie quite a bit.
Yeah, so I have basically the opposite opinion of you as far as my my lack of fondness for the film. I watched it again recently, but I had such a negative feeling toward it for the longest time because of the old lady and how dumb the our two primary protagonists were. But I am thankful to say that after a rewatch, I didn't have that same negative stigma. But I think that the reason I felt that way is the first time I watched it, I was like, oh man, you people are the people making this film are making fun of me like all the kids around me are making fun of me. But thankfully, as an adult, I can appreciate it. And like both of you said, we've all seen those fans in the stands, so it's more understandable. It doesn't feel as much of a slight to me currently. Before we get to Brandon's initial thoughts, Josiah, what about you? How did you? When was the first time you watched Ready to Rumble?
Right. So unlike pretty much everybody else in this panel, I was -3 when that movie came out. So the first time I saw it, I don't think I saw it until I was in high school. I was like 15, 16, somewhere in there. By then, I had already pretty much heard everyone's opinion about the movie before I actually saw it. So I had actually a solid mix. So like people like Oz who didn't have a favorable opinion of it, even if you know that.
Oh yeah. I've grown since then.
Right, and then I've also heard the favorable opinions as well for it. For me, I love the movie. I thought it was hilarious.
Awesome.
I had a ball. The grocery store scene, I think, pretty much made it for me because I've always been a big Macho Man fan. So just Dino tagging, like, you're gonna get it now. I'm like, yes, get him, Macho Man. So I had a grand time watching the movie. The wrestling was like just ridiculous enough for me to like laugh and enjoy it. I actually like David Arquette, like most of the world.
It's weird because people who know him and his time in wrestling, they know that he gave all the money that WCW paid him to families that needed it.
Exactly.
It wasn't like he took from the business; he gave from it.
Exactly. I was about to say, I think David Arquette is the guy I've ever heard of, and like gave more back than he got, which is very, very rare in the wrestling business, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought he was great in the role. The movie was entertaining. I love seeing all these WCW guys like in their prime. Like DDP like was actually like not young but younger.
I still cannot believe that guy's not getting more work.
Right?
Like Paige is so good at acting.
Yeah, what was that
Yeah.
Netflix show he was in?
Guardians of Justice?
Guardians of Justice. Yeah. I think that sounds right. But yeah, he was great in that. But yeah.
Mad talented.
Yeah. So big fan.
And last on the panel, Brandon. Being not a former wrestler and not a wrestling fan, how was your initial reaction to Ready to Rumble?
Okay. So I watched it twice, just to make sure that I got my thoughts and stuff clear. So I was talking Oz, and I said that I liked the movie the first time I saw it. And I liked it because it kind of had that dodgeball feel. I'm not sure if you guys like with Vince Vaughn and stuff like that. It's very over the top, but it's still like really, really funny and grounded in some areas, especially like with the wrestling scenes. I love that in this movie. Them wrestling like King Wrestling, Dallas Diamond Page in the rings. That was like really, really good. I was like, wow, this action is actually like well done and choreographed. It was like perfect. And then the second time I watched it, that's when I enjoyed it a little bit more because I knew what I was getting into. So it's like, okay, it's a rental to me, but it's enjoyable like throughout. And I see Oz's points where it's like, hey, are they making fun of me? Because everybody's kind of stupid. But I never thought like that this is meant to be taken seriously. Like with the grandmother. Yeah. Oh, just beat them up. Come on. It's like, hey, this is supposed to be zany, over the top. It's supposed to represent like, as a non-wrestling fan, how enthusiastic it can be, especially like, okay, I know who Goldberg was. It's kind of funny. I was like, "Ooh, that's the Undertaker," and it was actually Sting. Well, I was like, "I'm kind of close, right?" But yeah, it's kind of. But I was like, "Hey, I knew all these wrestlers, and it brought me back to like when I used to play PlayStation and I played like the WCW video games with a demo disc. It's like, hey, I wanted to like be these wrestlers, so it was like really nostalgic, and I think that's why I really enjoyed like watching this film, because it's not meant to be serious, but it's like, hey, if I had to like correlate it to like fighting with my family, I would go with fighting with my family first and then watch this. But I don't think like you can really compare the two, like besides like wrestling. But
Dude, it's crazy that you bring up comparing it to another film, because when you bring up Fighting With My Family, I think that it is fine at best, but it gets so many things inaccurate, and since it's supposed to be a biopic, that's what bothers me, whereas this thing doesn't even pretend to try and be honest. And so I think that of the two, I would put Ready to Rumble on a higher tier than Fighting With My Family, because, again, it's not pretentious. It's not saying, oh, just forget all the facts. It's straight up saying, there are no facts. It's all make-believe and here for fun.
Okay.
Isn't it weird to think? Is it weird to think though that wrestling was at such a high in Ready to Rumble, but in less than a year WCW would be gone? Like, this movie is such an interesting thing, because it's like, this is WCW, and then like if you catch it on cable, WCW's gone by the next summer.
Yep.
It's so weird how the world changed so quickly.
Well, and Vince or the New York will have you believe it's because, oh, it was a bad product. No, it had everything to do with the corporate merger and their lack of wanting WCW on the air, and not to do with, oh, it's so bad. I mean, you cannot be bad if you've got Lance Storm holding 3 of your titles all at the same time. Lance Storm is a great wrestler, and he's not the only one. Obviously, Booker T, Sting, Diamond Dallas Page, the list goes on.
There's a lot of us.
a lot of us. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, you're right, Jeff. It is an interesting moment that is captured within the confines of the film.
I never saw that coming.
No, that for me was the day wrestling died. Was when Vince McMahon showed up on that last Nitro. I'm like, that's it. He's got, now you use the Infinity Gauntlet of wrestling. He had all the stones. He did, and look where he's at. 21 years later.
Look where he's at now.
That'll teach you, Vince. But no, I'm not bitter, really.
Yeah,
not at all. But I did. It was sad because you had this movie which they could have used that to springboard them, but that merger, and then they should have never carried it to the extent that they did in bringing it into that pay-per-view and putting the title on Arquette. I mean, as somebody who worked seeing somebody like that come in and then get your top prize is insulting to somebody who sets up and tears down the ring and has to travel, for $10 or a handshake and a hot dog at a frickin' indie show from a promoter that lost $500 to $1,000 putting on the show.
For sure, but as Diamond Dallas Page himself has said, are you going to say no if somebody offers you the world title?
Yeah, look at it.
Because
I understand.
And he's like, well, it's either this or you're not on the show. And so he was like, I guess I'll do it. And so, in retrospect, it's like, I'm sure I wouldn't have said no.
I mean, to be fair, I definitely.
No, I would have taken it and run with it.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this reminds me, since we'll talk about Vince for a second, this is one thing he did right. Remember No Holds Barred? Like, imagine if Zeus would have actually won the WWF title. That's, like, I think Ready to Rumble beats No Holds Barred any day of the week, and I think bringing Zeus in for SummerSlam '88 worked. Like, it's great cross-promotion. I'm with you, though, man. But I also don't... I'm in a weird place because I'm not mad at Arquette for winning the belt. I don't hate him. David Arquette's just an actor to me. Like, if I ever met him at a show, I'd be like, what up, man? Like, it's cool that he did his thing, but, like, there are other problems in wrestling that are bigger than David Arquette walking away with that title.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And here's my thing. Even the victory itself isn't the problem in my mind. It's when you had it happen. Had they crowned him, say, 2-3 weeks before, even a week before red carpet rollout, and he's carrying the title on his shoulder and can be there for the E and the Access Hollywood and all that jazz, at least you have the argument to be made that this is why we did it. But unfortunately, they made the choice, I think it was 3 weeks after the film was out, to give him the title, which at that point, most of the buzz had already died down.
It was a bad move from bad creative.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, that was.
And that's why that me and Josiah are taking a trip down memory lane and rebooking WCW.
That was Russo. Well, that was Russo and Ferrara at
It
that
sure
point. And yeah, bro. His fingerprints are all over it, bro. Swerve, bro. Look, Judy Bagwell on a pole, bro. Viagra, bro. I mean that was. I don't want to get off on a tangent about this, but I was saying I don't like Jim Cornette, and he's bitch made. And he blocked me on Twitter. But I do respect his opinion of Vince Russo 100%.
Have you ever met in real life?
What's that?
Have you ever met Cornette in real life?
I haven't, and I would honestly like to.
Yeah, so I've met him 2, maybe 3 times, but one-on-one, he's just a real wrestling fan, and he's a real comic book fan, because that's the place I've met him. I met him at a comic shop and 2 comic conventions. Well, the same one, but 2 different years. And so I think you'd actually like him in person, because he's not trying to get a rise out of anybody. And so
he was nice to me. Dan and I met him, ETEP, Dan that was at
Oh,
Loudon's
did ya?
wedding. Yeah, It was probably the same weekend you met him, Oz. Was it down in Phantom Fest in Kentucky back in 2015? Was that one of the weekends you met him?
that was actually the second time that I hung out with him.
Because that was you and I had made the deal for the comic and did all of our business stuff, and I was back at the show the next day, and we were walking the floor, and I'm like, "There's Jim Cornette," and he like looks like he hears me say that, and then he and his wife just start talking to us. He was super nice. We didn't have a lot of time with him. He got busy, so we went to talk to Brutus the Barber Beefcake, which is clearly a step away from Jim Cornette. But he couldn't have been nicer either. Like, I can't talk shit up Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He was one of the nicest dudes at one of these shows. Shook my hand, called me brother like Hulk Hogan. Like, what more do you want out of a wrestler?
As long as he's not Sabu, we're fine. Like I said, I've worked over 2 dozen shows with him. The night I almost pulled a Stone Cold one night, because the promoter comes in and he's like, "Sabu's gonna put you through a table." I'm like, "No, I'm a ring announcer." He's like, "Well, you're the commissioner too, so he's gonna put you through a table." I'm like, "Okay, hang on. I'm gonna grab my bag and I'm going the fuck home." That's exactly what I said. And then the guy that Sabu was working the match with ended up doing the table spot, because I'm like, I'm leaving. And the table, they didn't gimmick the table right, and it took him 3 shots to put him through the table. I'm like, see?
Yeah, that's smart. That was smart.
No.
Yeah, I'm like, nope, not doing it. Not doing it. Not gonna do it. But then I have a few off-air stories. I pretty much told Jeff's heard these. Jeff's heard most of my Sabu stories.
They're great.
I've been around when you've not been happy that he showed up, but I haven't heard the personal stories. But yeah, back to one of the topics Brandon was saying. Oh no, you're great. You're great. One of the things Brandon was saying earlier is the cinematography of the matches. So I have a habit of taking notes when I rewatch films, but I'm not using it. We're just all hanging out. But one of the notes that I took was that as soon as we get to the arena for the first time, and Ray, Kidman, Prince Iaukea, and whoever, I forget who the 4th man in the match was, but as soon as we get to the first match, I was like, man, this thing is beautiful, and it just made me feel so like, that this is a high quality film as far as presentation of the product.
Nope.
And I just wanted to praise it for a moment and say how that is. And I mean, you can go further into the climax of the film in the same way with the Triple Cage. Every time that wrestling is being presented, it's being presented in such a way as to make the product itself look high quality. So I thought it was good that Brandon, the non-wrestling fan or non-wrestler, acknowledged it, because that's something that, is a big thumbs up in my view for the film itself.
Yeah, it was the only time.
Oh yeah, and something else that's pretty positive that I would say is I like the themes of following your dreams. That's like a key component, and I think that's like anything that anybody wants to follow, no matter how stupid. Like the gas station attendant, oh, it's for stupid people, it's for dummies. It's like, so what? And the David Arquette's dad wanted him to be a police officer.
Man, he reminded me
hey.
of my pop
Yep.
big time.
And I was like, hey, this is like a good message, even though it's like zany and wacky. But, and not to go with fake people, liking the girl at the burger stand who didn't want anything to do with them. But then going with Wendy, who always liked him, but he was like, hey, that's gay.
Yep.
Because she's like one of the dudes. And then also David Arquette wanted to go with Sasha. I was like, hey, but turns out that, she's Two-Face. I was like, yo, this is really good. And he like stood up to her, like at the hospital.
Mhm.
Like, hey, you don't have a heart.
The standing up for yourself and against the woman who's, like you said, two-faced. That was a great call for the makers of the film.
I can go through with the time period. It's not with most people, especially in wrestling.
Well, I mean, look at her.
Yeah.
Rose McGowan. Yeah. That's back when Rose McGowan. I think that was back pre Marilyn Manson. So that no, that was post Marilyn Manson. So yeah, she was still in that I'm kind of hot phase. Yeah. All I got to say about that is foreign objects. Foreign objects.
Yes. I still scream that when I play the wrestling games.
Yes, exactly.
I was playing No Mercy the other night, and I can't remember, it was like one of my creator wrestlers, and I'm sitting there putzing around. Yep, I got hit with the stairs, and I have my headphones on. That's the first thing I yell. It's like I'm in my chair, scared the shit out of my dog. I'm like, foreign object, got hit with the stairs. She gets up and runs out of the room. Sorry, it's just me. It's just me here. There's nobody else here except me, the dog, and the cat. So,
Is it wrong? The first image I have of Ready to Rumble is that scene where he holds up his own name. Like, honestly, outside of the poster of the bicep, I just think of David Arquette with his own little sign in the crowd the whole time. It's like, that, whoever wrote this movie must have spent some time with wrestling at least a little bit, because like we joked, it's crazy, but there are fun parts, and it's nice that they don't. I don't know. They hold up better than I thought they would. I think Ready to Rumble holds up better than some of the actual WCW content from that year.
So, speaking of the crowd, as soon as you said that, it reminded me of another note that I took. So, in the climax of the film, when the triple cage match is finished, one of the fans in the crowd is Chris Kanyon, and yeah, exactly, who better? But the reason that stands out to me is because he was Jimmy King's stunt double throughout all of the wrestling scenes, and I just thought that was
I didn't know
really.
that.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Paige loves talking about that, and because they're longtime friends, and so it was Dallas Page who I heard originally talking about it. So I just thought it was cool that they were able to get his face on film by putting him in the crowd, because he was the one who did all the wrestling for Jimmy King.
What an underrated talent! Like and it's such a sad ending to his story too, because I mean the guy was just completely underutilized his entire career. It's like they didn't know how to use him until they just let him be Kanyon. Just take the Mortis gimmick away and let him be Kanyon, and the guy was he had every tool that you need to be a great professional wrestler. Get over with the crowd, either as a heel or a face, because honestly, to me, the guy was great either way. And I didn't know he did the stunt work for Oliver Platt in this, which makes sense if you really look at him. And that good for him. And that's a nice legacy piece he'll have that people can look back on. You get to know that. Yeah, and that was a nice nod to him, showing him in the crowd like that. Like I said, I remember seeing him in the crowd, but I didn't know that he was actually involved with any of the stunt work, which is cool.
That's the why, is so that they could acknowledge him on film.
Nice.
So Yeah, I don't know if you guys have watched his Dark Side of the Ring episode, but
Mm-mm.
What season?
the most recent one, so 3.
Then I have not.
Yeah, it's not what I would call one of the worst ones because I don't think much beats Jake Roberts, but it is super sad.
Been walking.
Well, obviously,
Oh.
Bill Maher's obviously up there in the like, oh my goodness,
Yeah, probably the worst possible situation ever.
But Canyon is like, so many people are there, like Ryan Cage. I did not know that Chris Canyon helped him on the Indies. The same with the Young Bucks. Like all these people who are currently wrestling said that Chris Canyon, when he was let go from WWE and while WCW was extinct, he was out there just trying to help people, get work. And it just stands, or it just shows another side of the guy and how much of a stand-up guy he was.
I'm gonna have to check out his episode because
Yeah.
I am late on this season. I enjoyed the first 2 seasons of this show quite a bit, but shit, I missed a lot of 3. I think what turned me off to this season is I missed the first couple of episodes by a lot actually, and then when I heard about the plane ride from hell, pissing enough people off, I was like, I'm just gonna lay off of this show for a while because I think that's what it was. I thought they were kind of bullshit with that.
Pretty much the ones that had to do with WWE were kind of passable in my opinion. Playing Right from Hell, whatever. The Vince McMahon in court crap, it's like, you can pretty much skip anything that has to do with WWE, but if it's outside of WWE, the stuff is mint. Yeah, exactly. It's gold. Bischoff taking W to Korea.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
That's a lot of
I learned
fun.
a lot of stuff I didn't know about.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Just because of like the international incident of it all.
How bad it could have been.
You're not allowed to be here, but we came anyway. So that's a lot of fun. And back to Canyon, in his episode, James Vandenberg, the Sinister Minister, is probably the primary talking head within it. But because they had this contentious relationship where they were like the best of friends, but sometimes the worst of enemies. Because Canyon struggled to accept himself, thus always pushed everybody away. And so that's really what is the linchpin of the episode, is just that his struggle in that way.
And that's a sad thing too, because he fought with his identity being gay, and it's like, honestly, man, if you, Oz, you've been in locker rooms, dude. There is I've worked shows with, and I won't crack any jokes right now, but I've worked shows with fucking Nyla Rose. I worked in Saginaw, Michigan with her. About 10 shows probably. I mean, like I said, there's every fucking kind of person is in that locker room, and it's like whatever fucking differences you have outside that door, that shit is left there, and you're a family, and you got to take care of each other. So to me, that was like really fucking sad that he couldn't just be your, just hey, this is me. It doesn't take away from the fact how good of a worker I am. It doesn't take away from the fact that I'm going to treat you in the ring like you treat me. It really fucking bothered me when I found that out, and how much that really hurt his mental health and, led to his demise. That shit was it's sad.
Absolutely.
It really is. And Vandenberg, dude, that guy, another one. Completely underrated talent as far as like people rank managers all time with psychology wise. He's up there.
Absolutely.
First time I ever saw him was in TNA with Abyss. I was like, who is this guy? Oh my God, this guy's amazing. That literally, it was that quick of a train.
Yeah, so my first experience was ECW. Well, was it ECW or WCW? Well, regardless, it was definitely the 90s. And
Yep.
I agree. His psychology of getting over his talent, so good. Love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But again, going back to the film, Arquette is he just feels like somebody you could be friends with. I feel like just his character. I mean, Gordy the character,
Yeah.
not David Arquette the man. I don't know.
David Arquette, the man. Next guy who left the league.
but Gordy's character, the way that he interacts with people, the way he believes in people, not just himself but his friends and his idol Jimmy King. He feels Gordy like a person that you want to be friends with. And I say this because the day that I met Jeff, I had the mindset I'm going to make friends with somebody. It wasn't him because I didn't know he existed, but he was the friend that I ended up making at the convention, and it's nice to have a protagonist within the confines of the film that you can feel like you would want to be friends.
Exactly.
He's an everyman.
Yes.
Yep.
He has that everyman quality.
He does, and his buddy's great. Like his family's crazy, all the cops, and I love any kind of movie where they're trying to like, you know, get into the family business, be like the family, and then the sister's this like hard nosed cop, and I'm like,
yeah, she already shot somebody for her first.
Yeah, the comedy across the board solid. Like I would be lying to you if 1 out of every 3 or 4 times I heard "Running with the Devil," I didn't think of those damn nuns like rolling up. Like,
Yes.
Not to just keep harping on this movie, but like even if you're not a wrestling fan, like we review movies on the channel constantly. I've seen so many movies I forgot. But Ready to Rumble is like one of the best wrestling movies. I know not the bar isn't high, but it really I will go to defense for it because it is funny. It makes me laugh. And like even the over the top wrestling shit, like I don't know. It seems like I would have made this movie at a certain point in my life, including the juvenile crap, including the stuff that doesn't work. Like it's not a kid's movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like a like you said, Dodgeball, Brandon, earlier. It really works. That's a great comparison because it's like a Dodgeball with a lesser cast, but like a great premise and yeah, just man, that comedy is it's not. Most wrestling things are like second rate. The comedy in that movie is legit.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. So let's start with the non-wrestling fan. Brandon, what do you rate this film as a whole?
3 out of 5. I know you don't do points, but I will give it 3.5 out of 5.
You can do whatever you want. Yeah, but my
cool.
thing, I don't do halvesies, but yeah. Josiah, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Brandon 3.5. It wasn't the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life by any stretch, but I definitely can say like coming out of it, had a lot of fun watching it. It was really enjoyable. I definitely watched it again.
Absolutely.
So 3.5, I think is fair.
Jeff, what do you think?
I'm gonna give it the Bret Hart 4 out of 10. No, all joking aside, I do 10 scale. I'd give it like a 7 is the nicest number I'd give this movie because in my scale 5 is like a failure. This movie is a really funny, good time that I would give that number to and stand by. I really think it's like a 7 out of 10. Like 70% of this movie works for me. 30% is 2000s cheese and filler from the late 90s holdover, but like that's yeah, man. You clearly hear how much I like this on the panel, so that's I like it, 7 out of 10.
Eta.
I'm with Jeff on a 10 scale, and just to set a baseline, I think the Eternals Shang-Chi and Captain Marvel were like 6s, so I have to give this one at least a 7. I love this movie. I do. I can watch this pretty much. It's one of those movies that if it's on cable, I will go out of my way to watch it. Or if I want to. This is a Blu-ray, like Jeff said. This is one I want to get on Blu-ray. I don't even have a DVD of it, which I need. I think I have it on VHS.
Brandon.
Oh damn, way back.
But like I recorded it off TV, like when I still lived with my parents, because this came out when I was 20. This came out 2 weeks before my 20th birthday. And I was still a huge wrestling fan. And I went to the theater and saw this. And this is one, like I said, it came out, so I recorded it on cable. And yeah, I just, you walk away from this movie feeling good. You do. It gives you that warm endorphin rush, those happy feelings that it's like, man, I enjoyed myself. You know, there was really no hardcore downer in this movie, even, you know, the lows, because you knew you were gonna get back up that in the crescendo, because the character, they set him up. You know he has to walk away with a happy ending in this. So that's really what I love about it.
There was one downer to me. Now, granted, they gave me the scene that I needed to undo it, but as soon as Paige fell from the top to the through the second cage, through the third cage, and landed, I was like, how is he not dead? Now, like I said,
wrestling.
Thankfully, that proved he was living. But I was just like, that was just a touch too much for me. As far as like, I got pulled out of it because, I watch wrestling, so I'm like,
Yeah, I was, of course, real focused on the realism.
I think you might be dead right now.
He
That was
wasn't.
your downer?
He wasn't. He wasn't Vic. It wasn't Vic Grimes and New Jack. He was all right. He was all right.
Yeah. So, I was gonna say
So-
my downer was
Go ahead.
was it Oz?
No, go ahead,
It's
go
just my downer. Yeah, my downer was King's son fighting him when he takes off his mask.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, oh damn, that's so sad. Like he hates his dad that much because he wasn't there for him. And then David Arquette just comes in and just beats the crap out of him. Yeah, that was my downer moment. I was like, oh, they didn't reconcile.
That's funny. So, in defense of the score I'm about to give, I want to
Oh,
remind the viewers that on my scale, 5 means great, 4 means good, 3 means 5, 2 means passable, and 1 is a fail. So, to me, it is 4 out of 5 because it is a good film. It's fun, it's upbeat, it's entertaining. Like you said, there's leftover 90s. Maybe
Fluff.
fluff. Maybe you wouldn't do that today, but I think it all fits and makes a really good movie. And so I did not anticipate rewatching this and giving it such high marks because I had such a negative opinion of this film because I wasn't 20 when I watched it. When it came out, I was I was still living at home. I was still younger. I was still in school, and the kids were like, "Oh, the wrestling, that's the bad thing. Oh, it's dumb, and you're dumb for liking it," kind of thing. And so when I saw, not just Sean and Gordy, but the old lady and them working for a sewage truck and all these other things, I just felt like, are you being mean to me? But now, at almost 36 years old, I can watch it and not care about the kids that were mean or have them influence my opinion. And I can, as everybody has already said, I can see the positives that are there throughout the entire time, and not just focus on that that self-conscious feeling that I once had.
I'm glad you have a positive feeling towards it because it, you're right about the way it does paint wrestling fans, but I think there's a lot of truth to look at the demographics, look at the type of people that are the hardcore fans. They fictionalize it, they shit on us, this and that. But I think at the end of the day, they really do show that those guys are like heroes, and following your dream is right, and all this crap. And I just wish more. I wish this movie would have been a bigger hit because it was like the last time, like the Attitude Era. Even though it's nothing to do with WCW, we have a couple months left of the Attitude Era. Like April 1st is when it dies for me. When Pete, you talk about when wrestling dies, when Vince shows up on WCW. I think WWF dies when Stone Cold and Vince team up. That's just like the fucking end.
Yeah,
But I wish
Yeah.
that.
Hey guys, I know this is a big time spoiler, but in my world, in my booking, Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin never shake hands. That moment does not
Yeah,
occur.
you're jumping massively ahead,
It's
man. We
okay.
haven't even finished WCW yet.
Hey.
for the remix.
The invasion is a part of the WCW remix. So, just as a heads up, that never occurred in my WCW.
Good.
But Jeff,
'Cause-
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah, that was
Exactly.
that was horrible, Jeff. You're right. No, you're absolutely right. You don't take. They've been feuding for 3 years at that point, and then it's like, oh, you know what? It's we're all good. No, that doesn't. No, if you've been at each other's throats, beating somebody with a bedpan, spraying them with a beer truck, hitting his wife with a stunner, stunning his entire family.
They all
you know,
deserve
you're-
it, though. That's a little different.
Oh, they did. Even his wife, David Bowie, deserved it. But look, man, I'm not the one that married Ziggy Stardust and then paid out $14.6 million worth to ring rats. I'm
More than
just
WCW
saying.
cost.
Right?
It's
Oh shit! It is.
from the dude from the other perspective as a Rock fan, I was just so confused with what was happening because I've only been watching wrestling for about 2 years, and Stone Cold had been gone for most of it, but everybody knew that Stone Cold and Vince McMahon hated each other. Like, they put out the Austin McMahon tape. I had that before as a kid. Like, while he was gone, I did a back catalog of wrestling, so I knew that Stone Cold and Vince hated each other. But as a Rock fan, I'm like, also, yeah, The Rock's been here since I've watched wrestling. Stone Cold's been gone. What the hell's going on? And then The Rock left for a couple months. And so as a kid, I was just so like, it bothered me on a different level because I'm just like, they got me. They got me. It was great as a kid, but I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah, I totally understand where both of you are coming from, but the moment that killed me as a wrestling fan, now granted, I've stayed with it because, you know, you can abuse me all you want, but I ain't going away, was the finger poke of doom. But it goes back to my exact complaints about this film initially, and sometimes still to this day. But the moment the finger poke of doom happened, in my mind, I was like, you're telling everybody who says I'm dumb that they're right. And I literally cried that night. That happened, and I cried not because Kevin Nash laid down, but because I knew what the next day was going to be like. Because all these people who said, oh, you're dumb and it's bad and all this stuff, well, you have to at least tune in to know that this happened. And so some of their, I only realize this now, but so they had to have at least tuned in
to watch the show in order to figure it out.
To know how to make fun. But still, it didn't occur to me in the childlike mind that all I knew was tomorrow's going to be bad.
Yeah. See, I look at the. Oh, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead, brother.
I was just going to say this. I had that same thing happen after WrestleMania 17. I went to school the next day, and there was a Stone Cold fan. We didn't like each other. Long story short, though, I remember going to school because he was always the first kid there, and I usually showed up fairly early before they let us in, and he was going on about WrestleMania, and I finally caught him in a lie because he told me all this crap that happened. I'm like, we bought WrestleMania. Stone Cold teamed up with Vince McMahon. He goes, nuh-uh. And I'm like, I caught him in a lie, having never watched. He would tell me about these fucking pay-per-views all the time because he had cable and we didn't, but then we got DirecTV and he just never got the shows. But when it came to wrestling, my mom's like, I like this shit too. So she would drop the dollar for WWF. It didn't matter.
Nice.
And man, the schoolyard, like, there was not a lot. I got made fun of for liking wrestling, but also nobody gave a shit. So it was like I was on my own island. And I had to just, I'll never forget though being a kid the next day. That was that.
I remember having a Hulk Hogan lunchbox, and I really think that's what started it. Because, okay, don't down Kyle me. I didn't know any better. It's the only one they were selling. It's not like
no, I didn't like. I've never liked those. So it's okay.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is like,
Like I get
eight-year-old Oz didn't have any other choice. It wasn't like they said, "Hey, do you want the Hulk Hogan or the
Randy
Bret Hart?"
Savage?
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, back to the point. So I can remember this lunchbox being a thing of ridicule and really a thing that lasted for years. And it was the same day that I had it for the first time that I got my glasses broken for the first time. Yeah, exactly.
I love Hulk Hogan. I know what that was about. I was like, I love Hulk Hogan. I just bought this.
Dude, I bleached my goatee blonde in 2014. I did this for a show because it was a Halloween show, and I was doing and I was like, I did the Hollywood Hogan thing. My facial hair is dark, and I had to bleach it like 4 times to make it, and I burned the shit out of my skin underneath it. So I said, fuck it. And I kept it like that for like 3 months. My wife's like, it's fucking January. Stop. I'm like, well, let me tell you something. I'm like, let me tell you something, honey. The Hulkster is going to keep his goatee like this tomorrow and the next day and the next day, brother, until the NWO is back together. There's no stopping me now, brother. And she's like, I'm gonna fucking murder you. You know, Jeff's met my wife. She's tiny, and I'm terrified. She's like, I'm 6'3" and she's 5 foot. I'm fucking terrified of her. I'm like, yes, dear. I'll just stop now. I am. It's like the other day. She came home. She's like, we're getting a camper. I'm like, what now? She's like, we're buying a camper. I'm like, all right. Well, I'll put a hitch on your Jeep. She goes, no, I'm getting a truck. All right. Your Jeep's got under 6,000 miles on it. Yep, get me a truck. All right. I called my buddy. I'm like, hey, I need a truck, man. He's like, what? I'm like, just sell me a truck. I was like, how much do I have equity in the Jeep? He's like, a lot. I'm like, good, because Mama don't want it no more. She came home and said, I'm all right. I was like, we're getting like a 20-footer, right? She goes, no, 26 with a fold out. I'm like, okay. And where am I going to put she's like, where am I going to put, I was like, where am I going to put this fucking thing? She's like, on the grass right there. I'm like, no. Not in this neighborhood, honey. No. I'm like, I have a sprinkler system. I'm like, no. I'm like, we're getting a bathroom redone. So I'm like, I'll have that guy pour me a fucking slab to park the camper on. Next, I said, I'm not doing that, and then I'm going to work her into getting the garage because I got my 85 Olds Delta 88. I got to have a spot for it too. It's all redone from the ground up, 46,000 miles on it. The only thing I need to do, because it's got the original hubcaps, we're getting some big boy shoes for it. My dad's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I'm putting 20s on it. I'm like, what the fuck do you think I'm gonna do? I'm putting 20-inch 100 spokes on it. The only thing I know, same thing I did to my Park Avenue. Put 20-inch 100 spokes on it and throw some sound in the trunk, and I'm gonna give it to Trey when he's 16.
I need to up my car game. I have a Jetta.
Yeah, dude, I should have never got rid of my truck. I had that all black Ram when you met me down in Indiana. I sold that to my dad, and I got that murdered out Grand Cherokee now. And I'm like, I had to rent a truck to move. I'm like, I've had 4 trucks in a row. I thought I wanted something. Well, I was going to get a Grand Wagoneer. And then the wife's like, I'm not letting you spend $115,000 on an SUV. I'm like, but I'm just going to lease it. She's like, no. I'm like, all right. So I got a Grand Cherokee. And I like it. It's nice. But I need a truck to haul shit with, and I don't like getting it dirty. And yeah, that's what I was doing before I left to go to the dispensary. I was sitting there freaking waxing it and buttering the tires up and making her shine. You know, you got to put that nice glow on it.
Did you hear Kevin Nash has his own brand coming out, his own strain?
He does.
Really?
Okay, I've been listening to his podcast. It's really good, and he talked about he's got like Jackknife, Sativa, and all this other shit coming out. Like Kevin Nash is interesting to listen to.
Dude, I don't. He has such a bad rap, but I told you this. Me and my tag partner were basically the outsiders. Like I was Scott Hall, down to being shit faced every time I went down to the ring. Like it was
working the gimmick.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I lived it, man. It was much to my own detriment at times, but yeah. Like dude, the first time I got to use the fucking fall away slam to set up for my Razor's Edge it felt good. Like, oh yeah, we came out, the promoter's like, hey, you guys got to stop. Cause wait, hang on. The belt's right here. I think anyway. Where the fuck's my belt? Here it is.
Well, this has gone off the rails.
Hey,
Well, that was our logo right there. That was our stable, was Team Ratings.
Yep.
And that was our logo. That was all our shirts, our merch. And we fucking, I came down, like I had a Hollywood Hogan get up, so I used the feather boa and everything. And you had the white Oakleys, which I switched to Lokes at one point. But yeah, man, we had fun with it. He's like, you got to stop doing the NWO shit. I'm like, the crowd's buying our merch. We ain't stopping, bud. He basically said we had creative control. So I came out, instead of a toothpick, I cut a coffee stirrer in half and hit the dude with the coffee stirrer. And oh yeah, it was, dude, it was a blast. Like I said, I'm gonna have a retirement match. It's gonna happen.
One last match, Ric Flair.
One last match.
I'll get one of my. I got to make sure my wife's not there. She'll divorce me. She says, "You wrestle, I'll divorce." She was pissed I was going back to ring announce. She was, because I didn't tell her. I was just like, I'm doing.
But if you wanna, follow, please subscribe. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. But guys, it's been super fun. I'm gonna let Brandon sign off first because he doesn't have anything to promote. He's so Brandon.
Hey. I'm just joking.
He said, "What do you mean? I got 10 things."
Oh, I mean, yeah, you have 10 times co-host. But what I meant was, Brandon, thank you for being here. I love having your outsider opinion.
Yep, I like being here. Nice meeting you, Jeff. Nice meeting you, Jeff.
Nice meeting you, man.
All right. I'll see you later, brother. All right. Jeff, I'm sure that none of my followers don't already know because I talk about you all the time, but go ahead and shill for the channel and the comic and all the good stuff, please.
Oh, God. Hold on. Let me get a couple things around me together because you mentioned comics. Well, we'll talk about this one that I got to be a part of. personal favorite of mine, Everlasting Survivors. Now, folks, Oz and I have worked together, so you should definitely check that out. But the thing he asked me to do was tell you about me. So I'm Jeff Hicks of World Class Bullshitters. You can find us anywhere. Just Google us. We just put out the Stealing Solo store. What is that? Go to stealingsolo.com. Opening up new avenues. But if you want to find out more, you can join the Bullshit Club. Just Google everything we do. We're at the point where it's easier to just say Google World Class Bullshitters than to try to find us. But if you're a super fan, check us out on Patreon. We have wrestling content. We have all kinds of stuff. So we are everywhere you want us to be and places you probably don't want us to be. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and the rest. So remember the name, World Class Bullshitters, and Jeff Hicks. I am a comic book artist. Like I said, I have worked with Oz. This is technically 2 issues put together, man. And I see your poster, or I see the thing on the wall, and I saw that Ron Simmons artwork, and I was like, dude, I drew that a million years ago. I was so happy to see that on the wall. So thanks, man, for keeping that alive.
My favorite. I hate he's remembered as the Damn Man now, but one of my all-time favorite wrestlers.
One of these days, when I got some more time, I'll make you a Ron Simmons piece, dude. You can tell me like what era of his career, or any of your favorite wrestlers. Honestly, I'll draw you a wrestling piece. I love to draw wrestlers. I'm gonna make myself a poster of The Rock one day. Tell me again.
Brian Pillman.
I see the figure in the background.
Yeah, so there's Loose Cannon, and here's Loose Cannon. I got Loose Cannon there. I got Flying Brian over there in 2 different forms. A posable, like one that's posed like this and one that's a bendy. But yeah, Brian Pillman, the moment I saw that man, well, not saw, but heard him introduced from Cincinnati, Ohio, that's the moment where I said, I can do this. And hey, you've got that in common with him as well.
Cincinnati, man. No, it's weird. His son is one of my recommended Facebook friends all the time, and I'm just like,
we're friends.
Do I want to click? Yeah, I might have seen that you were a mutual friend. I was like, do I want to click? That would feel weird, because it's like...
It was awesome. He sent me a happy birthday message last year.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool.
He seems like a cool dude. I like him in the ring. Go
Same here.
W.
Yep.
But yeah,
Jeff,
my rambling's done.
Thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure. You're awesome. And
so are you.
ETAP, you're up. Tell all of the viewers that I'm sure, again, already know about all your stuff because, I talk about you all the time also.
I'm Etep Wakuin of the Place to Be Reviews. I also enjoy this fine work right here. It's right next to all these other independent books that I support. Like, well, this, I got a couple Stealing
Hey, I know that one too.
Yeah, I got a couple of those, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention my good friend Vinny Tartamella and City of Venus, his art books, and this one, his banger, just came out, Shadow of the Kraken, which is. Yeah, it's to where it's like I can't wait for the next one already. And I've got this little book called Woke Busters coming that I'm really looking forward to, and I need to change my address in the campaign, and I keep forgetting to do that.
Be glad you told me because I was about to mail stuff out.
I got to change that.
Hey, already?
I'm excited. I've been seeing the art. You've been showing me art for that since the beginning, and I'm so excited for that one. But yeah, back to my little channel. I do live streams. Monday night, we have Monday Night Going in Raw. We just had episode 213 the other night, and tonight, every Monday. Well, let's start from the beginning. Rewind. Member streams. We do member streams for the Kazooians. Yes, channel members on my channel, the Kazooians. I send you a kazoo from my P.O. box. I don't spam your mail. You get a kazoo, you get a wrestling trading card, my old Pete Daddy Dollar wrestling trading cards, which he's coming back to action September 2nd, West Branch, Michigan, Super Shogun Pro Wrestling. I'll be emceeing the event and doing color commentary. And never say never. I might end up hitting somebody with a razor's edge that night. Who knows? Anything can happen. It's pro wrestling. But yeah, Monday night member streams 7:35 Eastern. Big show, 8:35 Eastern every Monday. Tuesday nights, you can catch me on Supreme Heretics channel, Drew, 6:40 Eastern, and Tony Tone Deaf, my co-host, my brother. We do the Monday Night War retrospective, head-to-head WWF, WCW, every Tuesday night, 8:05 Eastern on Tony's channel. Wednesday night. What's that?
I said that's a fun show to be on.
Oh yeah, you've been there. It is. It's a blast. Jeff's been on. It is. We get to relive that every Tuesday night, and it is. I love that era of wrestling. I could just live from about '88 to 2001, I'm good right there. I can call it a day with wrestling. That's what I need. But yeah, Wednesday nights we have my member stream for the Kazooians at 8:05 Eastern, and then 9:05 is the big show, Going Rogue, my Rogue Entertainment show. Thursdays, I'm not too active on Thursdays. I usually have to spend a night with the family. Fridays, I'm over on Liars, Life in a Rocket Ship on Tony Tondef's channel at 8:05 Eastern. We do Saturday night's Main Event on my channel. It's been late night. We've been starting at midnight. Sometimes we start at 9. Sometimes we start at midnight. Stay tuned to your local listings to find out what time that show's at. And I'm actually in the process of reviewing every WCW Monday Nitro, Thunder, and pay-per-view on my channel right now. Coming up next will be Halloween Havoc 95 and the beauty and joy that is videos coming back. I'm in the process of hiring an editor right now for some of that stuff because there's not enough hours in the day for me. So that's it. I'm done. I think that I've covered everything. If I've missed anything, you can find me at The Place to Be RE1 on Twitter, The Place to Be Reviews on Instagram, The Place to Be Reviews page on Facebook, and of course, eTemple Queens, The Place to Be Reviews on YouTube and Odyssey as well.
Brothers, thank you so much. This was a great time. 50th episode or 50th video for the channel, and it was a great time. Like I said, tune in Wednesday for the Wednesday Night Wrestling Remix. Me and Josiah, we're going to start at the first pay-per-view of the Monday Night War era in WCW and rebook WCW from that moment until until the end of the invasion, but until the end of the year. And it's going to be super fun. Thanks again. And I will see everyone. Well, we'll see everyone on Wednesday.
Take care, guys.